Very good afternoon on a Sunday uh, afternoon. I think it's a pleasure to be back here again on the 40th episode of Teen Sawaal, Three Questions with Dr. A. Senthil. First of all, Happy New Year to all the participants, all the teachers who are seeing within India, outside the country, this particular episode of ours. It is also a pleasure that on the 75th Army, Day, I have Major General uh, Ajay Singh Chauhan, the Shaurya Chakra and Seva Medal. He is also the Managing Director, Army Welfare Placement Organization. Namaste and welcome to 40th episode, General Sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Senthil.
Yeah. And just to quickly, before I get into the further introduction, let me do some announcements of housekeeping. One particular question which all of you will be expecting is that how we can ask questions. Yes, you can go ahead and start posting your questions on the Facebook live session itself. And I will be taking these questions from so that it becomes easy for all of us to kind of go on the same page. Point number one. Point number two, this is a very, very important area, and I have been having long discussions with General Saab on trying to say how exactly can this huge, I should say, mine or set of resource which is available in the country, how these people can actually be utilized in or their potential can be leveraged in our education sector, and to be very specifically on the school. But before we get into the session, a quick introduction about Major General Ajay Chauhanji. One thing which is very, very important is that he was commissioned in Mahar Regiment in December 1984, 35 years of service in Army. And as officer, he served at all the different terrains, right from Indra Call. It is called as Indra Call, sir?
Yes,
Indra Call in the north, that is at the Siachen Glacier, to the Indra Point in Andaman Nicobar Islands. And I think Indra Point, I had the opportunity to be there, sir, as part of my responsibility to working with government schools in that particular geography. So I understand that that's the starting, and this is both the tips you have been able to kind of travel, and that's what army gets into you. And his experience includes that he has actually done commanded the infantry battalion in the Batalik sector, infantry brigade in the River Rhine sector of Punjab. He was also he commanded Pathankot sub area and has been the GOC of Jabalpur sub area. Most important thing, I think that's something very important, is he's also qualified in mass communication. He was also the director of media at Army headquarters. He has been the deputy military secretary in Southwestern Command, and he has kind of, looked at multiple roles. And one thing which he's very, very passionate is grooming leadership. And in that particular capacity, he was a faculty responsible for shaping the future leadership at the higher command wing at the Army War College, MAV. He has been on multiple delegations as a member to UK, Russia, Egypt, Kyrgyzstan. As I said, that he's Seva Medal and Shaurya Chakra. This is something, one of the most important decoration which any army personnel will aspire for. He retired as a general officer commanding for Jodhpur sub-area in March 2020. His passion continued to go back and serve, and today he is managing director of Army Welfare Placement Organization, which has the mandate to facilitate placement of Army veterans, widows, and wards of veterans into corporate, various government, semi-government organization. And we are very, very specifically today looking at educational institution. And that's why when the title was supposed to be done, I was telling sir that I'm going to say veteran in a campus is going to be the whole thought process. With that particular brief introduction about sir, I'd like to ask him first question. When we say school. You have gone through schooling, you got inspired to get into defense. We would like to understand a little bit more that when you were in school, who inspired you? Which is that one teacher who inspired you? And what made you to get, what were the key things which you got inspired from him? And then I want to see how you moved into defense before we get into other aspects of it. That's something very, very important.
Dr. Senthil, firstly, thank you very much for inviting me to this three questions Teen Sawaal episode. And I wish you and all the members all the very best in your endeavors. I also wish everyone 15th of January is the Army Day and 14th of January is the Army Veterans Day. So I take this opportunity and this platform to wish everyone my best wishes. Dr. Senthil has spoken about me, and I take myself back to the school. Indeed, my father was in the railways, so I don't come from an army background. My father was in the railways, and I used to see the police and the army, and we had an Air Force station close by. So that was too fascinating for me. And in the childhood, aircraft flying, one had an opportunity to, see 71 war. That was a major Air Force base there, and there's a Gurkha recruitment center there. So these things actually excites you with the uniform, with the discipline, the way that they walk, the way they turn, the way they do anything of that kind. So that was. These small things actually motivated me to go into the forces, though none of my, from my father side was in the army at that point in time, because I'm a railway kid, so I was that way. Yeah. So and yes, I joined Scouts and Guides. There is in the schooling, there was to be, I couldn't join, no NCC was there in my school. So I joined the Scouts and Guides. So as a scout also, it was a big, a learning experience for me. So that was the start point for me to look towards the armed forces. And I think I took a right decision at that point in time to join this. I'm too happy. One of the finest organizations I joined, yes.
Good. Thank you very much. Because see, I also come from a veterans family. My father was in army for 32 years. He served in electrical mechanically in EME. He retired, completed 32 years, got recognized as honorary lieutenant, so that a major honorary lieutenant. And then we always had this opportunity to see people in uniform. So you were from railways to this, but unfortunately we are three brothers. None of us were able to kind of get into army. But I think it's always motivating to see that in the uniform, when you see the people, the josh comes automatically. That's something very important. Let's get into the topic for which we are here today. That's something very, very important. Now, when we talk about educational institutions, to be very, very precise, school, one of the questions which come in is that typically when an army veteran across grades, I'm not talking about JCO, NCO, officer, or any one particular corps, what I always felt that in every function of a school, every operation of a school, I think one army person can actually fit in. I will surely take one by one, and I will start specifically from the principal. The principal of a school. And you have education core. You have Army Education Corps. There are so many people coming out. There are people who pursue their B.Ed, who are there at that institution. So we will start from that particular leadership role. So suppose if I just have masters, I have worked for 24 years in Army. How do you think as a principal I value add to that role, sir?
As a principal, I think, you will have that kind of a background experience to run that institution so beautifully. I personally feel, if you have been in that particular organization, at one point in time, you have to give back to the society as well. right?
Correct.
So that is one area which one should look at, that if somebody has got that kind of an experience, it is very important to leverage it into a particular channel or a direction, so
Hmm.
that it is for the comprehensive growth of the organization.
Yeah, because when you try to talk about principle is all about, managing vendors, managing parents, managing government officials, managing, community which is around it. So how does, army personals who come out, they have that differentiation factor.
See, Dr. Senthil, I'll take this question of all yours in two parts. One,
Oh,
everyone looks at the army. I'll talk beyond the guns and the rifles and the tanks here. Yes, that is one part. Wearing a uniform, the security aspect is inherent in everyone. All right, I will take on a different level here, where an army personnel is a scholar as well, though he's a warrior by profession, but there is uh, a stint of scholar along with him. In the army, people joined army earlier that padna nahi padega, study here. But
okay.
unfortunately, you'll be surprised in amount. There are more than 40 institutions within army which gives you the courses. Yes, it prepares you so well. There is a army war college which prepares junior leadership, the middle leadership, the higher leadership. You have the national defense till the rank of a brigadier. People have been studying in various courses, and that is how the perfection comes here. And here, he is a comprehensive package. He's not only a warrior, he's not only a manager, he is a comprehensive package which can be fitted. You name a thing. So, in the education sector, I talked about there are more than 40 institutions within Army. You talked about EME. There are there are engineering colleges of EME. There are CME Pune, which is the College of Military Engineering, MCT, Military College of Telecommunication Engineering. So you name it, Armed Force Medical College. So you
Yeah.
name a field, there are professional institutions where these people are groomed here. Now coming on to the management part. The army personnel performs under pressure much better than any time. The amount of challenges he faces at during his service is massive, and therefore that is what teaches him to manage things, and that is what we call it as crisis management. No, he plans it very well. He plans it. That's why, wherever, Dr. Senthil, you go, whether it is a military station, whether it is a project, it comes out so beautifully. And the last bastion, yes, it is the army. There are you talk about the roadmap of your institutions. I'll give you an example. I met a gentleman here where I stay in Delhi. He's from one of the public schools. I said, "Sir, what are you doing?" He's an ex-army officer, he's a retired general. I am writing the roadmap for my school for next 150 years. How will
Okay.
my school look after 150 years? And I'm talking of how will the water pipelines be after 150 years? He's planning that also. So imagine the amount of details these people go in. All right, because the service conditions have taught us that there is no iota of error. There's no chances of error here. So therefore, the army personnel per se, whether it is army and air force, navy, I will call everyone. So there is a degree of commitment here, and as a little bit of a planning. The planning factor is extremely important, which we have to pay heed to it. Yeah.
Okay. So you say that at the leadership level, the decision making, managing people, managing thought processes is something very, very important. Coming to your own perspective, which are the functions as per you we can actually start looking at it? Because I have a huge list which I would not like to recite, but I would like to hear from you that if there is a person who's coming in, let's start from general administration itself.
Okay.
In a general administration, what is the profile of people who can come in, and why do you think that they will have plus one advantage than anybody who's a layman?
Dr. Senthil, I'll give here with examples.
Sure.
I'll go certain the thing. When you talk of administration, you talk of army officers running the institutions. there are number of institutions today. I, as MD AWPO, I would have given almost 20 odd officers only for institutions. You will be
Okay.
even Mayo College is being run by an army officer today.
Correct.
That's a public school.
Yeah. Yes.
In PPS Patiala is being run by an army officer. So these are one of the examples. Rashtriya Indian Military College is being run by an army officer.
Correct.
Right. So these are when you talk of administration, you right from the management of the school, whether it is stores, whether it is teacher management, whether it is accounts, whether it is faculty, estate management, whether it is inventory management, whether it is transport fleet managers, warden of the schools. I'm talking of the non-teaching staff here.
Correct.
Okay. Security of the school, discipline squads which are there. So these are the places where these people can be suitably employed. Whether it is the management of the cleanliness, facility management as well. These
Correct.
things can be given the army personnel. I think they can perform. And recently in Dwarka, we have given about 2 officers. In Pune, we have given. In Hyderabad, there are officers who have gone. Here in 2 of the public schools, we have given 2 brigadiers. So these are the officer levels who are looking at these institutions. So I think they will be add value to the institutions. Yes.
Correct. So when you talk about just for the sake of, because I think sometimes what happens in academics, we need to give specific examples. So I will try to take a couple of minutes to basically explain it to them. One of the things which General was trying to say, and I was as somebody who's working with schools, been a teacher, still continue to work with the schools. I feel as in general administration, one of the very, very important thing is the transparency. I think, that is something which is very, very important. The ethical aspects in the transaction. I think that's again very, very important, which comes in as part of the DNA itself when you are going through as part of that particular part of it. You try to talk about a process orientation. When we say process orientation, it is all about, people, more people driven than, more process driven than people driven. But these are the people who are able to kind of create some of these standard operating procedures. So these are the people who actually can take care of the complete administration per se as such, and they can be further segmented. I think generally you'll surely agree with me that even transport can be taken. Who can be a better person to manage the canteen and the transport other than the ASC armed, Army Supply Corps people who can actually talk about. So would you like to touch a bit on the transport and canteen and all those stuff?
Yeah.
So that
Dr. Senthil, before that, I must tell you that how does this come in? You were asking a question here. I'll tell you there are about 136, 37 army public schools in the army. Okay, this is for the wards and wards of the army personnel. 136 schools existing today, and it is adding on. Then there are 12 professional institutions where children ward of army personnel are studying. All right, right from medical college to dental college to nursing to law to hotel management to Army Institute of Technology to Army Institute of Management. These are the institutions. Every station there is an army public school and an army pre-primary school. So the management is being done by us. All right. So how are these? And they are producing exceedingly good results. Like I personally was a chairman of 6 army public schools. Right? At one point, and during our service, we come across either we are chairman, we are patrons, or something or the other affiliated to the army school or connected to the army school, where the entire management becomes our responsibility.
Correct.
Now, coming into the transport, in the army, you have transport fleet, you have inventory management, everything is digitized, storekeepers. How to these are the major challenges today. How to look after the furniture itself.
Correct.
There's so much of stores which are being bought. How to take a stock of these stores becomes a colossal task. So our people are trained in to look after these stores because they have been doing this for the entire service. And they have experienced on this. Yes.
So it's like a hands-on experience. Suppose if
And
I say fleet of buses,
all right.
because transport management itself is one of the biggest challenge which schools have. One side is technology. One side, again, there is the people management. You have to manage so many drivers, but you have people who have experience in managing and driving in the best of terrains and best of management of time, distance, all those stuff has actually been part of your own story. So are there specific set of people who could be employed by the school
Yes.
when it comes to
Now, when you
transport and
when
other?
you talk of transport, it involves in management of the transport and repair and recovery,
Everything,
everything.
everything.
So in every unit, every formation, there's a mechanical transport platoon which is there. Now that is handled by a particular individual. Now there is a set of drivers there. There is a repair team, dedicated to that particular fleet, and there are about almost 50 to 75 vehicles with every unit. So all these fleets are being maintained by this platoon itself. So we call them a platoon in the army. So
Okay.
that is how it is being managed. And therefore, if these set of, and they know how to detail vehicle, they know how to monitor vehicle, they know how to get it repaired. And there is a repair team existing in location to look after their first-hand
Okay.
repairs. So that is how it is being done.
So I think that's something very, very important. So transport is again one of the very, see, I'm trying to take all the pain points for, because I'm coming from that, school, and schools have
Absolutely.
a lot of problems. So
Absolutely.
first thing, the leader principal part got over, then we spoke about thing. The third area you spoke about canteen, the fourth area we spoke about transport. Now let's come to the sports.
Yeah.
So in sports and games, how do
Yeah.
you think the instructors or the trainers who are there and the physical development component, which is becoming a very, very, very important part of it, how do you think that these people can actually come and work in this particular space?
When you talk of attributes of army personnel, physical fitness is the first thing which comes in. Discipline,
Correct.
physical fitness are the first attributes which actually come in. So, as far as we are concerned, we have trained instructors in physical fitness. We have a army physical training center, that is the APTC, and there are trained PT instructors available in the army. So once they retire, they can be suitably employed. And a lot of schools have taken PTs, physical fitness, physical training instructors from us. Sports, there are various levels of sport. People who have played nationals, people who have represented. You would have seen this boxer of my regiment, Maha Regiment. Um, he is a silver medalist here. So he again so these people can be suitably employed. Sports is a daily routine of army. They play every day. So therefore, you will find levels, good level, that is the national level players available with us who can coach in this.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
because I'm aware, sir, because General, one thing which I wanted to say that there is a school called as St. Paul's School in Rajkot.
Yeah.
There is a one veteran who was part of the Kargil, also the Kargil, war. When it was there, he was part of that particular process, and he has come back. He's working as a general administrator. He also handles the physical training or physical education aspects of it. And I can say very, very confidently that today, if Gujarat team, the throwball team of the girls, have most of the children going from this, the person has groomed them so well, and they have actually kind of taken up and gone ahead. So what I'm trying to say is that I think, as that comes as a routine thing, 6 baje PT karna hai, paune 6 baje PT karna hai, there's a physical component which is there.
Yes.
And I can say that for schools, it's going to be very, very important learning. So I think what you're trying to say, I can echo that very, very clearly. That yes, I have seen this happening in multiple campuses where people have actually, worked quite well when it comes to sports and other aspects of it. Because when we try to talk about sports and the physical, because this comes as a natural part. As you rightly said, that is the first attribute is physical. Physical, intellectual, these two things will go hand in hand. So how do you try to mix is something very, very important. And you would give guys, talk about all this physical
Your voice is getting cut.
PUBG and all. You're sitting on a couch. Now, is it better, sir? Now, is it better?
Yeah, I couldn't
Hello?
hear the last conversation, Dr. Senthil.
I wanted to tell you was that I normally tell and they have put on so much of weight. Actual war scenario. I don't know what will happen to you guys. You guys can only do strategize and play levels here. So that's one part of it, which needs to be kind of looked at it. And I think today, when you try to talk about Indian defense, I think it's very, very promising to see that lot of drone flyers, lot of new technological tools have been started being, used in the defense too. So I think it's a very, very important point, which you said that physical activity is going to be very, very important part of it. Let me move on to the other aspects, one more area, which is the health, from physical to health. Every school has one infirmary, sir. Okay. We have MNS, which is available across. Nursing services are there, doctors are there available, and they're all trained. They understand the job very, very well, and they are spread all over the country. And every school requires to have, as a compliance requirement, needs to have one particular, doctor or a nurse person who is qualified. Do you think that is it possible for schools to reach out in that particular space, and what is your advice on that particular part, sir?
Yes, you see, we have army hospitals in the army, and also at the unit level, at the formational levels also, we have the paramedics with us, who are we call it nursing assistants, right, or the battlefield nursing assistants. They are capable of even giving injections and first aid and all. And that is exactly what is required in a school. Beyond that, I think he has to be taken to a proper hospital, right? And the nursing officers also, they retire from the army, and they run the hospitals very beautifully. So that very rightly, highlighted. You have highlighted this particular aspect of the potential of these nursing assistants and the nursing officers, or the military nursing services officers. They are competent today, the best of the hospitals. And like if I take your mind towards Leh or Srinagar, for that matter, or any of the MHs here, R&R in Delhi, they are being run so beautifully by these, managed by so beautifully by these staff. Yeah, doctors are there, very good doctors are there, but definitely this is the support staff. Without them, they can't function. And that is the reason why one should look at these people who can be so. And the best part of the army is that these people come from all areas of the country. They cover the entire span of the country. If you name a corner, you will find two army people, present there. Yes.
Right. So that is, I think, something which then how somebody can reach out to these people, because this is also one of the questions which has come in, that if we need veterans, whom should we reach? How should we reach? And you are responsible for Army Placement Welfare Organization. So should they come to Delhi? And I'm surely going to leave your email ID as well as your website link, which I'm surely do that as soon as we finish this particular conversation. But if somebody, for just general understanding, how they can reach out in every state, every corner of the country.
Yeah, Dr. Senthil, I have not explained as to what AWPO is. AWPO you have initially brought out very beautifully. I will just add on to that, is that Army Welfare Placement Organization is mandated to facilitate placement for my ex-servicemen, for widows and their wards, right? And it is a pan-India organization. It has got its presence almost in all major cities today, essentially covering all states. Today, I have 18 regional offices, and we run on a website called xarmynaukri.com. This is the website, xarmynaukri.com. And if you go onto this website, you will find there is a brochure which is there. And if I can show you this brochure here, this is the brochure which is existing on, and there is on the fourth page, there is a list. And I have my offices in Ahmedabad, Ambala, Bangalore, Chandigarh, Chennai, Delhi, Guwahati, Trivandrum, Jaipur, Jabalpur, Jalandhar, Jammu, Kolkata, Pune, Lucknow, Secunderabad, and of course Delhi. I am there. So these are the locations where my offices are there. And once you go on the website, you will find their telephone numbers also, and the emails existing. And I sit here at Delhi, and my email I'll definitely share when Dr. Senthil will tell me to share. But
Okay.
I'll
No,
take
no,
it down.
I'll surely share it in the video chat itself shortly. And at the
Yeah.
end also shortly, I think I would
Yeah.
ask you to kind of
So
share
these are
your
the
email ID.
they are all army officers, retired officers. They are located within the army camps, and they are mandated to facilitate you or to the ex-servicemen, and they will give you what all you have to do is that you have to project your requirement to them, and that is how once you project your requirement, they will see as per the job description or whatever requirement is yours, and then we'll prepare a sponsor list of candidates and we'll send it to you, and you can interview them and select them accordingly. Yeah, one thing I will highlight here itself is that it's a different domain with the army personnel who are venturing after 30 years. So firing all cylinders from day one may not be feasible. A little bit of hand holding would be needed
Support.
in this case. And thereafter, once you understand the psyche also of this individual, he's worked in an organization for 30 years. Imagine the patience of that individual for with respect to stability. All right. He is a stable man, and he has probably just because he requires job now. That is the reason why he's venturing for a second career, and he's got age to his side. So therefore, that is one aspect which one has to see, and little bit of a hand holding and little bit of a respect. I think he will perform very beautifully. Yeah. So
Yeah,
you
because this
can
is
reach
something which
out
is
to
very,
these stations. Yeah. Yes.
yeah. So I think there are 18 locations which Sir just shared, and I think I'm also going to kind of share that particular, email ID as well as website. And so that what happens, it's easier for people to kind of reach out to them and then seek support. See what happens as we and to make sure thought process, because that will be helpful for them to stabilize in your institution, which is important process. So I completely appreciate, because this is something which people have been trying to say. And one question which is related to this is that, but I don't think it's part of your scope of your things which has come up, is that if we want to have some trainings regularly for our students on leadership, are these people are qualified enough to do it basically?
Yes, our officers are, there are officers who are taking leadership classes. There are doctors, officers who are PhDs, who are, MTech. They are very, very highly educated, and they are going to various universities called as guest speakers to speak on strategic leadership. They will be able to, if you approach us, we will provide you, facilitate you to connect with those officers who take talks on the leader. There are n number of officers present in the environment, army officers, whom we can facilitate you to connect with them. And they will be able to, take talks. It's most welcome. We'll be more than happy to provide you officers speaking on leadership, because that is one of our major fortes, Yes.
Correct. And I think I completely, want to build upon what Jan said now. One of the challenges which I see in school is that we have these house council, house master, school people leader, all the house captain, school captain, all these designations are being given. But these students are never exposed to anything called as training or how to empathize. I'm still to see one institution which has a structured program on baptizing these kids, and particularly after 12 they have this group discussions and quite a lot of things. And I think I would like you to touch a bit on SSB and selections and how people can actually be helpful, that particular part I would like you to stress
Yeah,
on.
that is part of the recruitment directorate, and joinarmy.com. If you go onto the net, you will find the recruiting directorate's website. But as far as the selection process, yes, Army is looking for boys and girls both, Army men and women, and there are various courses which go in. But yes, there is one thing called after you, it is through the UPSC. After there are different courses, I will not like to highlight here, but surely I'll take this from there are graduate, non-technical, graduate, technical. So these are the courses for both age group for NDA. After 10+2, you have NDA. After graduation, you have the IMA. Through the CDS Management Services. Yeah. Yes. And then also for women, there is a non-technical, there is a JAG branch also, and now the women are there in India as well. So if you go onto this website, you will be able to see the various, entry, how these children can get into the army. Okay. Now there is one selection process called the SSB, Service Selection Board. Now, this is a 5-day kind of process. You have to go there. There are SSB centers in Bhopal. I went to Bhopal.
Okay.
In 1982. Bhopal, Allahabad, Bangalore, now Kapurthala. So these are the places where, and for various Army, Navy, or Air Force, there are different places. So these are the places where you'll have to go, and the 5-day process in which there's a psychological test, there is an interview by the interviewing officer, and then there's a group testing officer on group discussion and group test and all that. So that looks into your basic leadership qualities, what you have. All right. So psychological test is an important factor because you are dealing with men in live bullets flying. So there has to be a positive psychological.
You have to handle the house properly.
The balancing factor is very, very important. So the psychological, and there are trained officers from the DIPR, Institute of Psychological Research. All right, there is a proper institute that is the DIPR in Delhi. All these SSB officers are trained from a proper institute, and thereafter they go to the SSB centers. So in psychological, yes, there are officers. Schools may like to get in touch with us for these officers, but let me tell you, they are picked up very fast.
Okay.
But still we will try. Let's not go on to the age factor. The more senior he is, or the elder he is, he'll be able to give you better guidance with respect to the psychological factor is concerned.
Yeah. Right? So why I was wanting these schools to look at this particular area, and why I wanted Journal to basically touch upon it, that when our students are going for any kind of interviews for any higher education institution, they go through a GD, they go through a psychological. So the process of selection itself is a lifetime experience. So I think the people who have gone through this experience, who are trained in this particular part of it, they will be well versed to support somebody else. And I think my request to the schools is that you have a house council, you have a school council, you have other things. So why don't you look at these veterans and then try to see that how you can align. And you don't have to, one of the challenges which I keep hearing from school, oh, time kahan hai? Time to bathera pada hua hai na, time to bahut pada hua hai. It's only the willingness then to start somewhere, that how exactly we need to kind of work on it, which is from Rajesh Datta from Punjab. Colonel Rajesh Datta, he's saying that presently managing a CNG station allotted to DGR. In this field now, with the focus shifting to electric vehicles, are we planning to tap the resources of electric charging stations for allotment management by veterans that sooner or later are going to replace all the petrol bunks and CNG? With regards. So this is a question which has come up from your own, from community people, that what has been thought through on this area?
Yeah. There are companies who have approached us with respect to CNG, this
e-vehicles.
All right.
Charging stations, basically.
There is done one organization, Basil, they have approached AWPO, and we are working in Delhi, Uttar Pradesh and Haryana. These are the 3 places we are they have approached us with a proposal that they will give you 15 e-rickshaws initially, and thereafter e-vehicle charging station they will establish, and 30 batteries at a particular cost, and which involves, I think, 1.2 1.5 lakhs plus 1 lakh of security. This is the amount they are quoting. We are in negotiations, and hopefully we should be. So this is picking up. We recently got training for our ex-servicemen in Gurgaon on e-vehicle management. So we are doing as a part of the CSR as well for training of our ex-servicemen, because that is what you rightly Colonel Datta has pointed it out, because this is the future, and we need to enable our people, empower our ex-servicemen, because they have the wherewithal. Only thing is they don't know where to actually knock, which door to go and knock, right? So we have gone into this direction, and we've taken a small step, but definitely they have offered 600 or 700 such kind of stations to us, which we will be undertaking in due course. Hopefully by end of this month or by March, we should be going in for this. Yes.
Yeah, I think this also, when you were talking about, I was seriously thinking that schools, they have so fleet of buses. They should now move into E. They all talk about sustainability. They talk about, going green. And I think if they have that kind of a fleet and you have a good resource available, I think that could be the best way, because you have the resource people who are actually managing it, who understands how exactly it has to be done. And then I think you can become, so my request to school is that in case if you are trying to think through that you would like to kind of get into that particular space, I think you should consider, and it is going to be very, very important point per se as such when we are trying to look for. Coming to next area, sir, is all about thank you for inviting these youngsters also to come in, and I request all the youngsters, I think you said Join Army, sir, that website.
Yeah.
So Join Army is the
Indian
website.
Army. Indian Army.
Join Indian Army. So if you can go into that particular website and look at it, or I'll also put it in this chat box itself, into the comment box. I'll put it after this particular show. But I think it's very, very important for us to understand that these are all inward part of it. I'm looking at how we can leverage the potential which is available in the school system. So now coming to the other aspects of it, sir. One is you touched a bit on people management part of it. You touched a bit on people management. And you also touched something on, how do you try to see that multiple facilities which are there in the campus also need. I would like to know on financial management. You talked about strategy management of an institution, somebody is doing it. When it comes to finance management per se as such, are the people qualified enough to go out and manage these things? Because one of the things which people actually ask is, particularly when it comes to finance, people are very, very cautious about how ethically these people will be able to kind of do it. And this comes as part of it. So how do you think, do we have resource of that kind to manage the financial part of it?
Yeah, you see the infrastructure which is being created in the army, it all involves finance. And these finance are being managed by these officers only. That is one part. And when I look at schools, the schools have got, definitely today schools have getting into large amount of funds. So the fund management also, one is the handling of the funds. The other one is the planning of these funds. These are two aspects. Handling of the funds and accounting that the clerk, we have the wherewithal, we have the clerks available with us who are specialized into accounts, who are able to look into accounts, and they have the requisite technology upgrades with them, so that they can handle it in today's world. All right. As far as the fund management is concerned, definitely the financial aspect is being looked after by these officers only, and they have their financial outlay, they have their financial prospective plans prepared with respect to finance. They have their roll-on plans prepared, considering the availability of funds. So I think there is a potential among our officers who handle fund, because all these projects, wherever you go in the army today, it involves funds. And who's handling these officers themselves? The army people themselves are handling. There's no second a person coming from outside to handle these funds, because funds are allotted to one particular, and we have to project our funds for future development. So based on the current expenditure rates, the future development also is calculated, and that is how the funds are projected. So I think they are quite good.
Good. So finance is again one area. And just to add, can you also throw a little light on that? All these people who are moving out of Indian Army before retirement, they go through also some kind of training. Would you like to touch a bit on that, sir?
Yeah, people who
Like they go to IIM, they go to multiple higher education institutions. So would you like
you see the Directorate of Resettlement, we have an organization under the Ministry of Defense, and they are mandated for training of the service personnel who are proceeding on superannuation. So there are n number of institutions today. They are going to Ministry of Corporate Affairs. They are doing MBAs from the IIM, Ahmedabad, IIM Indore, IIM Lucknow. These are the places where they are going. MDI Gurgaon also people did. They are going to Ministry of Institute of Indian Institute of Foreign Trade. This is for the officers. They are going to all these government institutions which are there. So they are going and doing MBAs and independent directors. I myself did a course in independent directors and from MDI Gurgaon. All right. So as far as the JCOs and Jawans also, there are n number of numerous institutions in the country today, right, from firefighting to management to supply chain management to all, you name a thing. I think we are catering for their training. So we are, and mind you, we are upgrading. We are taking a stock of the how many people have sponsored or the likes and dislikes of our ex-servicemen, and how relevant it is there today in outside world, and then every year the list is reviewed and changed, and the fresh institutions are added. So management of education institutions, management of supply chains, data analytics, these are the fields which people are going into, and they are being trained for these. Firefighting again, loss prevention. These are the things which have security. These are the things, because security may not be is absolutely different what security we do in the army. Outside security or corporate security is absolutely different. So they are being trained on these aspects. Yes.
So that means they are not only the army experience their own qualification vis-a-vis, they also get additional things, additional certifications, which help these people to perform well. So they are equivalent to any other graduate person.
You will be surprised, Dr. Senthil, in Army itself, there are more than 130 skill sets, right? From aviation management to, repairs of aviation to drilling. So that is existing. And through NSDC also, the skill development do take place within our organization, and large amount of ex-servicemen prior to the retirement, they are going into these skill development institutes across the country in these regimental centers, and it is being done under the aegis of National Skill Development Council.
So that means they are equally qualified, and there is a qualification equivalency also available with you in case if somebody would like to come back and check with you. Right? So that's, I think, something, because many people keep asking this particular point, are they qualified? Because they might have acquired a lot of things by doing, but are they really qualified? So I wanted to, get this particular question from you, saying that no, they are qualified, they are quality, there's a equivalency which is also being trying to be taken care.
There was a gap. Definitely, there was a gap during, there was a gap during the COVID period, but again, it has started recently, 4 months in the month of September. And then again, it will be reviewed in the month of March. All right. So people are getting trained on this.
Sure. So that means the people are getting trained, so they are ready for the the outside world other than the Indian Army compound walls and then going beyond. So qualification wise, there's no challenge. Experience wise, there is no challenge, because these are the things which people normally keep asking: are they qualified? Are they qualified? Can we employ? And I just wanted to highlight to you as well as to the participants out there. The new education policy is talking about something very, very interesting which is coming up. which is nothing but, how exactly you can, get into the professional practitioner. You are a practicing, suppose you have been practicing one particular thing over a period of time, and then you try to look at it. And the institutions which are thinking about vocational education, I think they have a gold mine of it, I can say. Whether you want to a radiologist, go how a radiologist function, how a welder functions, you take up anything. And would you like to touch a bit on that area, sir? Would you like to
Yeah,
touch a bit
when
on
you
the
see the skill sets, I told you there are 150 in medical radiologists, technicians. At lower level also, you'll find a lot of technicians who are into radiology for almost 30 years.
and
So
today we don't get them in the private hospitals.
private
You have to
hospitals.
wait. Yeah.
So these people, like we have the Corps of Engineers, EME. Now they are into entire vehicle fleet. Whatever the vehicles you see in the army equipment, whether it is tanks, whether it dozers, whether it is cranes, and you name it, whether it is computers, everything is repaired by the army. All right, everything, whether it is the state-of-art equipment, communication, robotics, every these things, the repairs cover is being provided by our own army personnel. I just to give you an account, I was just taking a stock of my. Somebody asked for electricians of vehicles and a vehicle mechanics. I looked into my database. I had almost 3,000 vehicle mechanics available with me. Of almost 700 to 800 electric vehicle electricians, electric vehicle electricians. This I'm talking of my, other than officer rank people. So I have not talked about the, various skill sets with the officers. I have in terms of engineers, mechanical engineer or electrical engineer, because I think also medical doctors. You talked about the radiologist or any other field. You name a field today, it is, I think we will be able to provide. Yeah, the technicians of various sorts, I think they are available. Operators, ops rooms, you have, you have labs, computer labs available with you.
Correct.
Who maintains this? It is all being maintained by us. Management of the ops rooms, these are all being maintained by us. We recently, very, very, and MNC looked for computer room operators. They have taken almost 700 to 800 people from us. So, to look after the computer rooms on examination.
Labs, basically. Labs and other things.
Yes, yes.
So I think that itself is again a huge area which people really need to look at and then start working on it. Sir, so now we have understood that principal se leke chaukidar tak. Okay, principal se leke chaukidar tak, there are profile of people who are available. Only thing what is required is some kind of a time which needs to be given to them, some kind of baptism which needs to be given to them, because they have lived a different kind of a lifestyle. So they may take at least 3 to 6 months to get adapted to your school scenario or your educational institution scenario. So I think that leeway period, and I think best on a safe bet could be 9 months. I think 9 months, give them some directions, and I think they are there for you.
Yeah, Dr. Senthil has been very, very liberal. Yeah, but definitely no, 9 months would be slightly long, but surely Dr. Senthil, it'll within 2 to 3 months, I think they will be provided.
No, why I'm giving the leeway for that particular part of it, what happens is there is a cultural context. One is the subject knowledge itself, they may be very good with. So the challenge which I see, because being a son of an ex-serviceman, also as somebody who works with school, the adaptability and getting adjusted to the cultural context is very, very important. Like one thing which I have learned from, I have seen a lot of admin officers in my, who work with different schools. So one of the things which comes out is the respect for women, which comes out automatically. MEMSA plays much an important role. And, the compliments just overflows and it comes very natural to many of the senior officials as such. So you really need to see that when you try to get into the school segment, are the people ready to accept those compliments? Just to give you a simple example, like some admin officer in one particular school used to give compliments. It comes very naturally in your environment. But when you come to the tier 2 city and you give compliment to some teacher, then immediately say why he is giving compliment to me. Because that acceptability to accept the compliment itself is, so that's why I said that this
Very
takes some time
very
to adjust that what cultural context he's coming
adapt the
from.
new environment.
The new environment has to be built. And
Yeah.
I'm sure, I think people at the end of the day, if they understand why this compliment is being given and what is the positive aspects of it, I'm sure that they will be able to kind of, talk on that. I think that's something very important, which we really need to look at it. There is somebody who has, okay. Okay, one question, one thing has come up that will really help the kids once they hear the leadership speech is something which has come out very, very explicitly. Okay, good. We have one more comment. Thank you, TLC, for this show. Okay, so these are the two comments which have come up on the chat box itself. Some last comments from your side, sir. How should we take this journey forward from here? That's very important. How do
Yeah.
you how do you want to take it? And I would like you to, even you can share your email ID or phone number, your office number, which you would like to share with them, where people can reach out to you and start getting connected and start this yatra what we have initiated today.
Yeah. No, firstly, thank you, Dr. Senthil, for this beautiful platform. And one tends to get the challenges which being faced by the schools as well. And as far as reaching out to a WPO is concerned, I told you we have a website called xexarmynokri.com. So that is my website. And in this, as far as my email, you all can reach out to the stations which in the website, you'll see the brochure. And I showed these stations which are there. I read it out also. These are of the numbers are already given. My email ID is mdawpo30@gmail.com.
I'll put it on the chat box, sir, so that
Yeah,
people
you
can
can.
take
Yes,
advantage of
you
that.
can reach out to me in case of any such kind of a requirement. AWPO will be pleased to facilitate you connecting with the ex-serviceman and see how I would not take it at my level itself, but better is that if you feel that your stations or the regional offices, you can reach out to the regional offices also for getting the ex-serviceman. Yeah. It will be extremely good for us also, and I'm sure they will add a large amount of value to the institutions as well. In my talk, I mentioned that we have experience in handling of the schools. So therefore, the ex-servicemen will be, our veterans will be able to carry out a value addition. We talked about the leadership. Yes, it will be great if people can approach us with respect to connecting you to the leadership talks. Surely we will facilitate that. Yes.
Sure. I think that's some. So let me just take a couple of minutes to quickly sum up. So when we try to talk of an education institution in school management, so you heard General Chauhan himself is certified, for director. He can become independent director of company. So he has gone through himself on a training, and then today he can join any board itself. Forget about a school itself. I'm talking about a school corporate board itself. So school board, you will find them. You can look at them at principal's role. You can look at them at subject specific. So one of the things that geography teachers normally struggle is map reading. So today you may have a Google, but if you go and ask him map reading, I think he'll be, every veteran will be able to kind of do that kind of a thought very, very clearly. General administration we spoke about. So that's one area. Canteen, sports, labs. He talked about labs quite interestingly, that finance management, HR management, and then multicultural, how exactly they can handle multicultural, people. How if you have a truly international school and you would like to get the expertise of some of these people to work with you, I think that's something important. One more thing which explicitly came out was standard operating procedures, which is nothing but the processes. I think creation of that, making sure that they are adhered. Assessments of that is again something which came out explicitly in this particular conversation. But before I conclude this particular thing, I was kind of, before I was kind of thinking about this session, I thought I somehow love number seven. So there's nothing, to connect it to my, birthday or my sun sign or anything, but somehow I like number seven. So there are seven attributes which I thought, which brings in, and which schools can actually try to look at it. Resilience is something, one very, very important point, which you will be able to see. Second is the dependability and the adaptability which comes in, the adaptability to any kind of a scenario, whether it is the snow or the extreme part of it. I think that's something very, very important. Third is that which is very, very important attribute of a army veteran is the responsibility, the responsiveness to something which in the shortest possible time is something very, very important. The fourth area is contentment and minimalism. That means with minimum things, how you can make life much more easier, because they have lived that kind of a life with minimum food, minimum ammunition, minimum life. So I think all that thing is something which they can be teaching. Next is the leadership skills. I think that came out explicitly again from sir. Availability is something, again, they are available across the country wherever you want to go. You have to just say that, is there ex-serviceman in your town or in your village? I think they will be much more happier to come and basically be available for you. Not only this, because I have seen this happening in many schools where the ex-army officers, Jawans have been invited for various, sports day, annual day functions to basically motivate and try to talk about their own stories. That is something very, very important. And finally, they are prepared to work in any kind of environment. I think that is something. These are some seven things which I thought are very, very important attributes of every veteran who is coming out of Indian Army, and they can be where they can complement and help your school, your education institution to accelerate the journey, much more interesting. Sir, thank you very much to agree at a very short notice for this particular program. We have been thinking about this, but on the occasion of the 75th Army Day, I thought that this episode of mine should actually happen before when we are going to celebrate. So thanks to every Indian Army soldier who is serving, veteran, who has moved out of and all the three areas. I had the good opportunity to go back and see this year's Army Days, rehearsals last week, yesterday, and I think I got the kind of motivation, the kind of energy which gives us to get charged to say that और बहुत कुछ करना बाकी है. There is so much still to be done, and I'm sure like people like you sitting at the helm of affairs, they will surely find the right opportunity. And at any particular time, as I've always been saying, that if you think that we can add value at any particular time, we'll be more than happy to work with AWPO and seeing that how exactly we can reach that schools. And I would request schools, you have my numbers, you have my email ID, you just drop a mail. Rest connecting is something which I will do, and then you can actually reach out to them. With that particular note, once again, greetings of the 75th Army Day to you, sir, and everybody out there. Your final comment before we close this session.
Thank you very much, Dr. Senthil. Indeed, a pleasure talking to you, and on such a vibrant subject, and such a potent and experienced human resource which needs to be leveraged, including women. Even in the gender diversity, we fully respect, and you will find a large amount of women officers, ladies of the officers. They are also into this. So I'm sure what the very, very real aspects you have brought out and explained as to how much challenges are there with the schools, and also how the ex-servicemen could be, taken or their potential could be leveraged, or the experience could be leveraged into the education system. I wish you all the very best, and all the listeners once again in advance a very, very happy Army Day to all of you, and I wish all the success to this program of the 3 questions, Teen Sawaal, and I'm sure in times to come this is going to be the mainstay for all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Jai Hind, and भारत के अमृतोत्सव पे भी शुभकामनाएं आपको और सारे की सारी टीम को मेरी तरफ से, सर. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.